excited to announce I'm writing the screenplay of 50 Shades of Grey. I only pitched 49, but still got the gig. It was like a terrible joke I wrote on Facebook after a couple of glasses of wine. And it backfired spectacularly. People believed it.
Welcome to Watch Mojo's Poppin the Culture, your weekly entertainment touchpoint. And me, well, I am your host with the most, Mojo, of course. That's right, it's Mr. Hollywood himself, Matt Demers. As always, I got a great show coming your way. I'll be speaking with a true showbiz legend. That's right, you know him from movies like Best in Show, TV series like The Drew Carey Show. Heck, he even wrote the screenplay for Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's The Tooth Fairy. Jim Piddock will be my guest. All that and so much more, but first, let's jump into it. Here's your Hollywood headlines. All right, as we do each and every show, we kick things off with a look at some of the more interesting developments out there in Hollywood. And I always need help breaking it down. And guess who I've got back for the second time? Hey, Josh, how are you?
Hello, doing well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm curious if, and I didn't prep you for this beforehand, but on the show, we've been talking a lot about the Batman. Yes. And it just had a big, at the time of recording this, it just had the big opening weekend. It did pretty well. I think everyone's kind of happy with the numbers. Are you a Batman fan? Did you see it?
I love Batman. Haven't seen it yet, but I know lots of people have been loving it. And I love the Riddler, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, I've seen it twice now. And each time, well, I've only seen it twice, but the second time I saw it, I picked up lots of new stuff. So I'm sure if you're a Batman fan, you will love it. So get on that train. Speaking of a train that people are excited about, there's a show called Futurama, right? It premiered in 1999. It went to 2003, but then they resurrected it in 2007 to 2013. And guess what? They're raising it from the dead once again. It's Futurama. Back. Yeah, no, this is great. And I'm a fan of this show. This is obviously from Matt Groening, who did The Simpsons. Just fun characters. But there was some controversy, and I'll get you to chime in a minute, because there was something called Bendergate, where the voice of Bender had not confirmed to be part of this reboot. At the time of the announcement, he even tweeted saying that he hadn't signed on.
Yep, I was following that interaction through Twitter, and people were sweating.
We were sweating, but sweat's over because Bendergate has ended. He's back. Bender's back, baby. Okay, tell me, were you a fan of Futurama?
So I have a pretty hilarious backstory with the show in that every time I went to watch it, the first episodes I caught were some of the real gross ones. Like the very first one I caught on TV was the Dr. Zoidberg planet where they all like get together and reproduce.
Yes.
And that was a rough one, but obviously it's such a big show that I went back to it a couple times, and yeah, I'm a fan. I like the professor character is my very favorite. He's always hilarious. And
yeah, no, they're great.
Yeah, it's hard to miss, so I love it.
It's got iconic moments. So, they're bringing it back a third time. Why do you think this is? Are we just kind of running out of shows and like what's in the bin, or is this show that good that we need more stories?
I mean, I know a lot of people are going to be happy to watch their favorite show again, their favorite cartoon, but I'm really not sure why now all of a sudden the big reunion is happening again, especially because they had a series finale and all that.
Exactly. Yeah. No. That's what's strange, but it's a trend now that if your favorite show is over, just wait a few years. Someone will resurrect it. The big news, of course, with Futurama and the headlines, as I mentioned, is that the voice of Bender's back. I should probably mention his name. DiMaggio. John DiMaggio. Don't at me in the comments. I'm a big fan. But how important is it to have the original voice back? Because if he didn't come back, I'm assuming, well, it would not have been a celebrated.
I mean, they gotta have them all back because the voices are so signature that it's gonna feel like a knockoff if even one is missing. Like if they tried to replace Bender, I could see it maybe working for an episode where they have like a cheap like gag, like it's a rip-off Bender, but it wouldn't last much longer than that. But I'm very grateful they seem to have made it work because more power to them. That's really what the show is it's those iconic characters.
Do you remember when Family Guy killed Brian?
Yes, for a day.
For like a few episodes?
Yeah.
Was it more than one episode? I think 2 episodes, right?
Maybe 1 or 2, and then they tried to have another dog, but what wasn't worth it. Wasn't in the cards.
No, don't mess with our characters. But yeah, no, Futurama, I think there's lots of possibilities, lots of great stories to be told. I mean, just look at what Rick and Morty is doing, and I'm sure we can find all kinds of great stuff. So I'm excited, and like you said, we can stop sweating, we can stop biting our nails.
Mm-hmm. Everyone's back.
Everyone's back. Everyone's back. Speaking of coming back, well, the Oscars are coming back in person, because last year we had the pandemic Oscars. Well, it was in person, but it was not. It was a select few, and it wasn't what I would call a traditional Oscar ceremony. Mm-hmm. But there are some changes coming, and a lot of people are saying, So I want your thoughts, Josh, on some of the changes. Let's start with the first one, is that they are going to be scrapping 8 awards from the live telecast. Mm-hmm. They're going to give it out before the show even airs. 8 awards. What are they? Well, you won't see documentary short, film editing, makeup and hairstyling, original score, production design, animated short, live action short, and sound are all are all not making it to the live telecast. A lot of people in Hollywood, including many famous directors like Guillermo del Toro, are saying, "What? You can't do this. It's sacrilege." People are saying, no, it's good. It's going to make the show shorter and more enjoyable. What says you, Josh?
Well, on one hand, it does kind of make sense, because the show almost always feels like it runs long, or maybe it does, but man, would it be suck to be banished to the to some of the categories that aren't getting that live star treatment, especially the editors, which are getting ripped off to the highest degree because they make the film with their own 2 hands. And so out of the show for you guys. But I mean, you can have a less than stellar acting or less than stellar footage, but with the right editor, the movie can still be something. So
I agree so much.
I'm not sure what the solution is, but it feels like they're taking away a lot of opportunities for people.
Yeah, no. And then they're saying, but the producers are saying, calm down. We are going to honor them during the show. So I guess they're going to tape it and then show the snippet, which is never the same. But as a viewer of the Oscars, I think, okay, I'll give it a shot, because it is a bit of a long show. Mm-hmm. They're trying to obviously draw people back in. The ratings have kind of tanked.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'll give it a shot. But editing surprised me because of just how important that is to the filmmaking process. Mm-hmm. Not to say the other ones aren't. Yeah. I'm just saying, animation short. Okay, maybe during the commercial break you can give that one away.
Just get a short for their short, but
just because many people haven't seen it, not to say it's not great. So we'll see how this works out. Curious what other people out there think. Let me know. Okay, and then the other thing the Oscars are doing that people are kind of rolling their eyes at, people are saying it's making the Oscars a bit of a joke, is that they're giving out this kind of audience favorite, what is it, the movie favorite award, fan favorite choice, where you can vote on what movie you think should get the fan favorite choice. So, and if you look at kind of the leader poll, it's like, I don't know, that remake of Cinderella's on there. Army of the Dead, I think, is on there, Zack Snyder. So it's not movies that you would necessarily think get nominated for an Oscar. I don't know. What do you think? Does this cheapen the Oscars?
I mean, the one thing I really like is that, like you said, all of a sudden you can have pretty much any movie show up. Like, some of the contestants weren't necessarily like blockbustery successful, and they're here, and it's kind of cool to see them, but it absolutely feels a little cheap if the only thing you get to take home is the Twitter award as an Oscar. So
yeah, do they actually get like a real? It would be.
I guess they must, but
it would be
maybe
sad
they'll
if they
have
just
a
got
little
like
bird with it,
like a certificate, like a piece of paper. Here you go. A participation award. I hope Spider-Man wins this fan. How is Spider-Man No Way Home not going to win this award?
That's the thing. Like, so many people will be disappointed if their Twitter poll isn't the most successful one. So it kind of feels like they're setting themselves up for a lot of people to be like, of course, this one wins through Twitter. But
so this is kind of like the first time they're doing this. Usually you'd see these kind of polls. The favorite award is kind of a gimmick that you'd see at something like the Teen Choice Awards.
Absolutely.
Keep watching to find out.
Kids' Choice.
Find out who's going to win the Nickelodeon Kids' Choice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Does it make the Oscars a joke? Again, I'm a kind of guy that I'll wait and see.
I'll give it a shot.
I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
As long as Spider-Man wins, I'm happy.
Most popular.
Yeah. Speaking of being happy, you are going to make people happy with your video game picks. I know I'm looking forward to it because I say this every time. I get excited when I have some video game guys and girls on the show because I'm always looking for recommendations because I kind of dabble in it. So I want to know what's out there, what's worth playing. Josh, you play a lot of video games. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I do.
So I'm looking for something, I don't know, one or two that maybe is already out that you think we should put on our radar, that you're having fun playing, or maybe it's something coming out. What do you got for us?
Sure. So I got two. First off, I'll have to echo what most of the internet has been saying this week. It's Elden Ring. It's been everywhere. People are adoring it, becoming obsessed with it. It's from the minds of George R.R. Martin and the FromSoft team, from like the Dark Souls team. But I think one of the best things about it is that all you have to know is that if you want to swing around a giant sword and run around and fight monsters, that's all you really have to know, because this is a totally new entry. You don't have to be familiar with any of the other like FromSoft games, and now's a great time to try it because everyone's been talking about it.
Yeah, no, I actually have heard good things. So it's good when because I know there was a lot of hype about it. I'm glad when it kind of measures up or at least comes close, because otherwise it's disappointing. So yeah, okay, so that's one. Do you have another one? Do you have anything else?
Yeah, and on the flip side, those with access to a Nintendo Switch, I think you should try out the Kirby and the Forgotten Land demo, because they dropped this without hardly announcing it, so not everybody knows about it. But there's a new Kirby coming out. It's going 3D. If you had any fun with Mario Odyssey, which was the Switch 3D Mario experience, you're probably gonna love this. So yeah, you can find the demo on the Nintendo shop there. And I just think that's a great opportunity for people to try out a game they're not sure about. If maybe you've never played Kirby before, it's a good time.
Josh, I've been saying this for years, and I want you to give me a yay or nay. A Kirby movie. Where's the Kirby?
I used to love the Kirby animes. I'm sure it would be a really cute movie as well.
We got it. It's like in the vein of like a Sonic the Hedgehog style.
Yeah, I think that'd be great.
Come on, Hollywood, get on it. Get on this.
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. So thank you so much for those picks, Josh. I'm definitely I'll be checking them out. And I know a lot of people
one
out
that's
there
been
as well.
bumping, and one that's about to be released. I'm sure it'll be just as big, or people will love it.
Amazing. Okay, Josh, don't go anywhere, because it is time for you and me to go beyond the list. All right, Josh, at this point of the show, we like to dig deep in the vast archives of WatchMojo. We pluck out what's called a top 10 list. That's what we're known for. And we go beyond that list. But really what that means is that me and you, we get to give our own personal opinions. Did WatchMojo get it right? Did they get it wrong? What do we remember about these moments, if anything? So today's going to be fun, and sticking with the video game theme with you, it's the top 10 cringiest celebrity gaming moments.
A favorite.
I love some cringe. I really do. Celebrity cringe, nothing better. So what happens is sometimes celebrities and video games, they just don't mix. So there's obviously lots of moments where we use celebs in the marketing of video games, the release. Maybe they're tied into the game, maybe they're not. There's all kinds of events where they bring out these celebrities. They pay them lots of money to talk about video games. And as we'll find out, it doesn't always work. We're going to get our cringe on here. Number 10 on this list is Elijah Wood. He's presenting Transference at the E3 2018. Great actor, Elijah Wood. Wouldn't you say?
Very likable. He's a very sweet boy.
Likable guy.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. So he came out to do this at the E3 2018, and it was just, I don't know, it was just
confusing.
Confusing, bizarre, empty, His words were just kind of like an advertisement. And then, of course, this game would fail to generate any hype.
Yep. I still don't know what it is, really.
So the question is, why? Well, I think we all know the answer why he was there. It had something to do with a paycheck. I don't know. What do you make of this? Elijah Wood. He was just kind of stuck in a...
Yeah, I kind of feel bad for him. I see what they were going for. They're trying to do like a mystery angle, like, oh, what's this exciting new experience? But no one really picked up what they were putting down. So at the end of the day, it's just kind of, I wonder what that was all about.
And then what you saw, and then they show like different clips or trailers, and it doesn't doesn't help anything either. So
Mm-hmm.
that's always the problem. So,
Well, uncomfy.
okay, there we go. Number 9. Oh, sometimes we get musical performances at these events. Something was called Summer Games Fest, and Weezer was performing. This is our number 9 entry.
Mm-hmm.
I like Weezer. I think they're a fantastic. I actually saw them live. I had a great time watching them.
Awesome.
Are they good for promoting video games?
Maybe something very specific, but in this case, I really don't think it was too planned out very well.
What were they even? Oh, they were there to promote a surfing game. It was called Wave Break.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see Weezer surfing. I don't know, maybe. But really, what happened was they just kind of showed this concert, and then the footage that they did show was nothing that we hadn't seen before. And people were just left scratching their heads.
Nothing related from what I gathered. It was just cut to cartoony surfing, and it feels like some sort of like they were set up to it, be like, all right, go play, and then we're gonna play some cool game behind you. But it was some totally random project.
And I think that's what we're gonna see in a lot of these cases is just the randomness of it. Maybe because you're trying to marry two things. It's Weezer, they got this song, and they're gonna perform it, and then there's this game, and no. Not gonna work. Number 8 is I do remember this. Kristen Bell. She was doing an interview where she was talking about the animals. So she was doing an interview. I think it was with IGN, and I mean you'll have to see it. She was talking about her interest in Assassin's Creed, and she just spouting out just I want to say nonsense.
Pretty close to that. What she's referencing was based on the very loose idea that the original Assassin's Creed was based off of, that like genetic memories like idea. But the Assassin's Creed games really like build quite far off from that. So the thread of what she's saying is there. It's just
but then she started talking about like a bird.
Yeah.
Right? She was talking about a bird. How does a baby bird not know how to eat a worm if the parents don't show it? And it's like, what are you talking about, Kristen Bell? What do you think this is? Is this her fault because they didn't give her like a? Because I'm assuming when celebrities go out and talk about movies or their projects, they kind of get the cliff notes about what to talk about. I feel like maybe she didn't get that for this, and maybe went rogue with her own interpretations.
Yeah, she was talking about the real backstory details about like the genetic memories and all this, but it seemed like the idea was to get her to talk about like the assassins and the general gameplay as opposed to the little details, but
as opposed to feeding your baby bird worms.
Yeah.
Thanks, Kirsten Bell. That's going to sell all kinds of games. I'm sure they flew off the shelves, pun intended. Number 7, the Game Awards 2020. We just talked about the Oscars earlier. Obviously, award shows. Video games get their own awards too. The problem with and we saw this here in this entry is that they flood it with like people that have nothing to do with video games. Celebrities who came to this one? Brie Larson, Ralph Macchio. I guess he was the exception because he kind of was in the Cobra Kai game. There's a former football player, John David Washington. Christopher Nolan was presenting an award. It just, again, cringe because they didn't really connect well.
Yeah, there's always that feeling of what's this guy doing here, but this one was like every couple minutes, and I don't know why there isn't more game in the Game Awards sometimes, at least in terms of guests.
Yeah, so instead of it being a video game award, it's just an advertisement for TV and movies that all these people are in. It's like if the Grammys had all these movie actors come out and no musicians. And it was just like about their movies. And it's like, wait a minute, what about the
There's
music?
music in this, guys.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Video game awards. Yeah, it's tough because you do kind of want to get the celebrities there to kind of draw some excitement, but mix it up or make it make sense. I think that's the key. And sadly, with number 6, it didn't make sense to have Terry Crews in Crackdown 3. So from what I understand, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, Josh, Terry Crews was advertised. He was going to be in this game, but his character wasn't like the front man. He's like he's a character that like dies.
Yeah, pretty,
like pretty
early in the game at least. Yeah.
So
he's in there, but it's not
the point.
You're not gonna have the Terry Crews experience of like him reacting to everything and going through this journey with him, because he's kind of like the intro character.
Yeah, and of course the game didn't succeed. Critics didn't like it. It was called pretty boring gameplay, and it had some technical problems as well. So maybe Terry Crews got off easy, where his like he doesn't stick around long enough.
Yeah, that's true.
Can you think of any other instances where celebrities are tied into games that worked or maybe didn't work?
It's coming up. I know Keanu is coming up later. But
it's the next one. Well, let's not wait. Let's talk about Keanu Reeves, the marketing man for it was all over Cyberpunk 2077, and this instance is funny because it was saying that before, in the lead up to this game, the company was saying, "Oh, Keanu Reeves loves this game. He's playing it." And then Keanu Reeves did an interview. He was like, "Oh, I haven't played it yet."
Yeah, this was a constant roller coaster of memes and great moments, and then it led up to the eventual disaster that was the game's release.
And what a disaster it was. What went wrong here? Because Keanu Reeves to me is like, we hold him very dearly. People love him. But this was just a big X on his career.
It was messy. I think maybe he did the best he could in that, like, he was genuinely excited for the game because it was cool to be in it. But there was that meme going around that the devs just made the game to hang out with Keanu, and that kind of became like more and more believable news as the game went on. It's like, there's no game. We just want to hang out with him.
Could just be. It could just be. All right, we're getting close. The cringe meter is going pretty high here. Number 4, Nintendo revealing the Mario movie cast.
Love this one.
Josh, you must have thoughts on this.
It was the 2-minute segment that rocked the world, and it will be forever preserved as the time I thought we had crossed over into some sort of crazy parody dimension. I'm a little surprised this isn't higher because it does not feel real when they're going through these pics.
You're right. It almost felt like a parody, or like if this would have came out on April Fools, we would have been
the perfect gag.
An April Fool joke. I don't know. Are you even excited for this?
I'm hoping that it's better than I expect, at least, but I feel like there's a lot riding against it. The only like saving grace might be that Nintendo seems really picky with how they present their characters, so I'm hoping that they're not going to release it until at least the main Nintendo guys are really happy with it.
Seth Rogen is Donkey Kong.
That's
not bad casting. Yeah. Jack Black is Bowser.
Yeah, I'm curious about that one. And I saw clips of Keegan-Michael Key doing some screams from Hotel Transylvania. And he can do a pretty convincing Toad, so that's that at least.
Okay, so we'll see. I mean, I've said it like 500 times throughout this show. I'll wait and see. I'll give it a shot. I'll give this one a shot too.
I'll be watching, but it might be a train wreck.
But I do remember this breaking the internet. My social feeds were livid.
He's so cool.
All those announcements. Number 3, Beyond Good and Evil 2. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Oh yeah, I remember this. Gordon-Levitt came out, and this didn't even go anywhere, did it?
No, the game's probably never coming out. It's very unclear.
He came out at the E3 2018 conference. Levitt was there. He announced his company, and he was looking for. He was kind of soliciting. You can send stuff in, contribute. And it just never went anywhere. This seemed odd.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is kind of like
a poor communication or something that wasn't managed right on the back end. It was, I don't know how cringy it was, but it was definitely unfortunate because they were looking to build some sort of community and it just never worked out.
Yeah, it seems like, I don't know, get a Kickstarter?
Yeah, get some other way to orchestrate it.
Yeah, get something like this. Yeah, he was trying to explain it, that it wasn't like, it's not freelancing, it's not spec work, but it was just all confusing. And then we haven't seen anything, and it sadly didn't work out. And well, the cringe is high with that one. Number 2 is EA's celebrity-fueled Battlefield 1 tournament. Oh, I remember seeing all kinds of clips of this. So Battlefield 1, it takes the setting is what, World War One?
Yeah.
World War One. So that's kind of interesting. But what's not interesting is the celebrities that they wrangled to play the game in a tournament.
Yeah.
And some of them may have been under a certain influence. Who do we have? We had Snoop Dogg, of course. That's the one I remember. Poor Terry Crews. You made it in 2 of our list, buddy. Wiz Khalifa, The Game. This is just an odd group of rap and hip hop stars. Even Zac Efron was there.
Yep, that was a weird one.
Jamie Foxx. This is a weird bunch of people to play this game. And like I said, I believe some substances were flowing.
Yeah, that was that was the idea that was going around, but especially because of that, it probably shouldn't have been a live thing. Like, they probably could have shot this all, edited it down, but instead they got these big names to get together and play a shooter and film them. It was a very strange idea.
Once again, we're highlighting the importance of an editor, right?
Yes,
there
especially.
You go. Oscars, are you listening? All right, here we go. I've been waiting to talk about this. Number 1, the cringiest celebrity involvement in video games, only because I had a chance to talk with this fellow. Jamie Kennedy is his name. He's an actor, he's a comedian, and he hosted a train wreck that was the Activision's E3 conference in 2007 rather. You may have seen a clip or two. I'm not wrong in saying it was a train wreck, right? It was just...
Yeah, I've seen some, and this has to take the top spot because I can't watch all the way through it. It seems like the whole thing was set up to fail, so it definitely brings home a gold medal for cringy.
All right, so I encourage folks to go in the archives of this show, Poppin the Culture. It's in episode number 3. That's right, all the way back when we started. We had Jamie Kennedy on. I had to ask him about it because it ends up in so many of our lists. He seemed to take his punches. He seemed to agree that it was pretty bad. But his thing is, and people thought that he was maybe under an influence. He said he wasn't. He was just tired, and he was filming all these commercials. But he thought this was kind of like just like a kind of a corporate gig. He didn't know really, and I guess no one kind of clued him in as to really what this was. So there was no real preparation, and he was kind of go for his sense of humor, but nothing worked. So I guess we tend to blame these celebrities entirely, but it's not necessarily all their fault. I mean,
they can be put up there and told to dance, but if you don't give them anything to work with, this is what you end up with. So that is very unfortunate.
Yeah, so we can't, but I mean, his jokes didn't really help matters either. So we encourage you to check out some clips if you want to get your cringe on. Poor Jamie Kennedy. But yeah, check out what he said about it in our episode 3 of this show. Josh, that was fun going through all that. Did Watch Mojo get it right?
I think they got it pretty 99% right, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I think I'm with you with the Mario casting where it could have been a little closer.
Bump that one up. That one's crazy.
Exactly. Hey, I'll be back on when that movie comes out. We can give our review.
Looking forward to it.
Amazing. Josh, thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody, it is now time for our Mojo Chat of the week. All right, he's a legendary actor, writer, and he's got a new memoir out, and I can't wait to dive deep and discover what we can find within that book. Hey, look who it is. Jim Piddock. Hey, Jim, how are you?
Very good. And you?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm excited to chat with you because moments ago, I was refreshing myself with your filmography. That thing is like a Japanese phone book. There are so many listings. Do you know? I always ask people, do you know how many kind of credits that you've done? Because
I believe it's over 120. I don't know, but I think it's probably more than that because I think IMDb has it somewhere in the 120s. But there's stuff on also obviously that's not on there. So yeah, it's quite extensive, I suppose, over a course of 4 decades. Yeah.
Well, needless to say, there's lots of things that you pulled from to put into the book. I want to get tell me the title of the memoir. I want to make sure we get that right. Caught with My Pants Down and Other Tales from a Life in Hollywood. Okay, that's what I thought it was. the title, where is this? Is there a story associated with this, or is this just kind of?
There's actually two stories. One prominent one, an entire chapter, or a short chapter devoted to an incident where I literally got caught with my pants down in a very public situation. And then there's a couple of other instances, one specifically that's fairly amusing. And also I just thought it was, because that was definitely a story that I liked. I think it's also metaphorically, it felt like it was a good kind of metaphor for my whole career, of someone who's exposing himself on a weekly or daily basis.
Haven't we all been caught with our pants down? Now, how did it start? Because you started on the stage, correct, Jim? And then before transitioning to...
Yeah, absolutely. The first 6, 7, 8 years, I don't remember, were all on stage, and I didn't do any TV or film. And that changed when I moved to LA in 1985. And I'd done a succession of shows on Broadway and was very lucky there. But I was kind of burnt out doing 8 shows a week. And so I came, and I always wanted to do film and TV, and I was sort of getting bogged down. I mean, people would love to be bogged down doing Broadway for the rest of their lives, but I didn't feel like I was primarily a theatre animal, just a theatre animal. So I came to LA. And
did you do music? Sorry, did you do musical?
No, I have, and I go into great detail in the book as a funny story about Tommy Tune trying to teach me how to tap dance. I have. For someone who's pretty athletic, I mean, I played soccer for 55 years and I've played other sports. For someone who's athletic, I am singularly appalling at dancing. I literally can't learn a dance move. It's just, it doesn't register in my brain. And to say I'm an average singer would be extraordinarily generous. I can sing, I can get by. If it's a comedy song, I'm not going to move anyone to tears with my singing. I mean, I might actually move them to tears, but not of laughter, probably.
I feel you. I took acting. I took theater. That's what I went to university for. And then, of course, we had to do musical theater. And I tried to do beauty school dropout from Greece, and it was not a pretty sight. Transitioning to movies and television, is there what is that one kind of credit that kind of stayed with you that people kind of recognize you from or talk about? Because I have one, but I'm sure you have one as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, my first ever film was Lethal Weapon 2, and I had a line in that I said to Joe Pesci and Danny Glover, I was the South African envoy, and the reason I gave him he couldn't emigrate to South Africa was because you're blick, which became Joe Pesci loved that line, and he kept repeating it later in the film. So because you're blick became kind of almost a catchphrase for Lethal Weapon 2, which was bizarre on your first movie. But then I think, without a doubt, the Christopher Guest movies, yes. And in particular, the first one I did, Best in Show, which is probably Chris's best movie, even though I've written one with Chris. I would say his second best is the one I wrote with him called Mascots. But I would say Best in Show is probably his most complete movie in every single way. And that, because of Fred Willard, I was teamed with Fred as the commentator, and you can't go too far wrong as the straight man. Well, you can, but luckily I didn't go too far wrong as the straight man with Fred.
So people kind of associate you with that kind of improv style, because I'm assuming that those films, the Christopher Guest stuff, is all.
Yeah, after that they did. Yeah, after that. I mean, before that, I'd done very little improvisation, and what I had done was rubbish at drama school. So yeah, I guess people would call. I mean, and whenever I got to do a film or TV show after that, and it was comedy, people would almost inevitably say, okay, great, now we've got the one that was in the script. Let's do something where you just go wherever you want to, which is lovely. It's actually really freeing and it's fun. So yes, I did get kind of associated with that.
Did you, that scene from Best in Show, I read somewhere, and this is probably all in the book that we can get all the little details. Was that done only in like one day? Yeah,
I mean, it's actually about 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the movie. It's rather than one scene, because they keep cutting back to us the whole time. But I guess the dog show you would consider one act, if not a scene. Yes, the story was I was producing and writing a TV show for the BBC with Mark Addy and Lee Majors and Alex Jennings called Too Much Sun. And we were, it clashed because Chris had offered me this job, and I said, I don't think I can do it because I'm doing this show in London. But luckily they worked it out. And what happened was I did the table read of Too Much Sun in London, the sitcom, gave my notes, then got on a plane, flew to Vancouver. Monday night, I had dinner with Fred and Eugene Levy and Chris. Chris then said we got Tuesday off because I had 3 days I was booked for because we're a bit behind, which I was glad about because I was so jet lagged. And then Tuesday night, they said, we're still behind, so we'll actually shoot on Thursday. And then on Wednesday night, they said, we're still behind, so can you shoot Friday? And I had to remind them at that point, I actually had to be on a plane on Thursday night to get back to London by Friday morning to do the dress rehearsal and the run through of the other show and see the taping. So we shot everything on that Thursday. So yeah, it's probably the most amount of film that's ever been shot. That's ended up in a movie that's been shot in one day. I can't imagine, anything else.
Amazing, and a good bit of footage that was taken as well.
Yeah,
Jim, I'm a '90s kid. I grew up watching all those great shows from the '90s, and I saw you pop up in a lot of sitcoms. We're talking the Drew Carey Show. We're talking Mad About You, of course. I can imagine that sitcom's a bit of a different beast when it comes to performing and acting. Is that something that you enjoyed, or what was that experience? Because it seems
it's a halfway house between television and theatre. The audience, studio audience sitcoms, multi-camera. So it's a halfway house. So I was quite comfortable with that, having done a lot of stage. I found myself becoming increasingly less interested in performing in front of an audience. I don't know why. I just kind of liked the specificity and not having to be quite so kind of big, or you didn't have to be that big, but I don't know. I found it was almost became kind of an interference. It's nice to know where the laughs are, but I think I know anyway. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it. I still got very nervous, bizarrely, because each time I think the most I did was 7 or 8 episodes on any show. You don't get bedded into the point where it becomes just routine, and it's a new script every week. So I remember talking to Alison Janney about this on Mom, and after several years, she said she still got nervous every week before the taping. And I was kind of surprised. On the Drew Carey Show, they seemed very relaxed, the regulars. I mean, they're in their 9th season, I think, or 8th season when I went on it. And I did a couple of seasons, and they were all very relaxed. And it was so easy to slot in because all my stuff was with Drew and Craig Ferguson. So it was kind of as I was the owner of Winfred Lauder, the store. So that was a very easy and a fun and a relaxed experience.
Amazing. Okay, I want to touch on quickly some of the writing credits that you have under your name.
Yep.
There's a lot of them. You talk about writing plays. You also wrote and correct me if I'm wrong, the Tooth Fairy, starring Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah,
that's true. That's real.
Yeah, I that was an idea I had talking to my daughter over dinner. I wanted to write a Christmas movie, and we started. She was 9 years old, and then I realized during the course of we were talking, everyone's done every kind of Christmas movie. So I said, well, let's go for something else. What about the Tooth Fairy? And she loved that, and so we talked a bit. And then I wrote some notes, and I had a meeting, just a general meeting with Jason Blum, the producer who now does horror movies, and he loved the idea. And I wrote the treatment for that. And during the writing of that, I kind of realized I didn't want to write the actual movie, the screenplay. So we because I'd done family movies, I wanted to write something else at that time. And I thought other people could do it better. So I do know my limitations. So we hired Gans and Mandel, Val Gans and Bubbly Mandel, who are obviously the deans of studio comedy.
Jason Blum from those horror bloody.
Yeah, Jason Blum
is part of the Tooth Fairy. That's pretty amazing.
I know. I mean, he did other films before, and then he really he hit big on the horror world and has become probably the biggest producer of horror movies in the world. Yeah.
He's great. He's great. And you didn't write. Clarify this. You didn't write 50 Shades. You weren't part of that screenplay. That's not a thing.
No, that was a terrible, terrible joke. I wrote. Excited to announce I'm writing the screenplay of 50 Shades of Grey. I only pitched 49, but still got the gig. It was like a terrible joke I wrote on Facebook after a couple of glasses of wine. And it backfired spectacularly. People believed it. And well, I mean, a lot of people knew it wasn't. People who know me well. I'd never read the book, would never read the book. It blew up. And unfortunately, I had to sort of issue a statement saying it was a joke, a bad joke. And but by that stage, you know, it was the lie had traveled 5 million times around the world and back.
The power of social media. Mea culpa.
Yeah.
Mea culpa.
Yeah.
Hey, Jim, this is fascinating chatting with you. And of course, we can get all kinds of great stories out of the book. And I can't wait to dig in and find out all about everything that you went through in your illustrious career. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much. Appreciate being on the show.
Well, that's going to do it for another episode, everybody. I hope you had as much fun as I did. Big thanks going out to Josh for joining in on all the fun. And how amazing is Jim Piddock? Can't wait to read his book. Hey, thank you for watching and listening. Till next time, I've been Mr. Hollywood, popping that culture.